guys. Okay, so this is a midterm exam review for 2020. So we're gonna start with fingerprints and impressions. So this time I wrote it down so if the words could come out very clearly, and I will just go ahead and read it for you, and then I will be going down. I am expecting that you guys either type it up or write it down. I very much prefer that, so I will be putting the paper up as I'm going. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Prints that are not really visible, the ones that you don't see, the ones that are based on the oil. So prints that are not really visible are commonly referred to as latent. Okay, number two. Okay, when do fingerprints develop? This is basically it's still in the fetal development, and this is usually on the eighth week of the fetal development. Question number three, APHIS is an acronym for Automated Fingerprint Identification System. Okay, and number four, be sure that you're prepared to classify fingerprints, and you could always go back to your notes. Basically, you just need to know what an arc is, what a whorl is, and what a loop looks like. Okay, number five, list four types of surfaces good for dusting with fingerprint powder. So, and then you also need to know and list the three for developing with chemicals. So the ones for powder, it's mainly it works best when it's in glass, plastic bottle, metal surface, and any hard smooth surface. Anything that is developed with chemicals is usually with paper, newspaper, cardboard. Number six, list three pieces of evidence found when analyzing footwear. That is the size, brand, and the weight is based on how in depth it goes through the mud or it goes through wherever they were walking. And then, of course, there's wear patterns or the tread patterns. Number seven, list three example of characteristics for a suspect sneakers. So class characteristics would be the size, the brand, the color, and the style. Okay. Number eight, what is the purpose of the dermal ridges? And these are the dermal ridges. And mainly it is to grasp objects. Okay. Number 10. So number 10 is what is the main component of a fingerprint left on the surface of a clean glass slide? And that would be oil. Criminal courts consider 12 points a match for a print. Those are the minutiae that we talked about and I showed you. Number 12, why is the use of fingerprints in identification is not perfect? Well, the current technology really depends on humans to input and analyze the information. And humans make, of course, mistakes. So it's not like the CSI movies that like a computer right away determines the exact match. No, basically overall, bottom line, it's humans that look at it and make the last conclusions. Now we're going to be looking at ballistics, and this is something we just did. So where is the most common place GSR is collected on a person? So that's the basically that's the gunshot residue, and this is collected on a person by in the hands. So always look at it in the hands. The part of the gun that a bullet is fired through is the barrel. The chemical analysis test, which detects the presence of organic nitrate compounds, is the gunshot residue, which is the GSR. And also be ready to match a suspect's bullet to a bullet found at a crime scene, very similar to your lab that you were supposed to complete. Number 17, what is the single most important tool used by firearm examiner? And that would be comparison microscope. And as you guys can see, it's also important through fibers, hair. A lot of the trace evidence is used by comparison microscope. Number 18, list three pieces of evidence ballistic evidence can identify. So there's the type of firearm, the caliber of the bullet, and also the angle of the impact. So why are grooves bored into a gun? Well, because the bullet will spin and hence have a true and accurate course when it leaves the barrel. Okay, so let me go ahead and start looking at now glass, fibers, and soil. So if the glass cannot be physically pieced together, then the control and question glass are best compared as to their density and refractive index. What do the broken pieces look like when tempered glass is broken? And that is through die shape. Number 22, what is added to make Pyrex glass? And that's boron oxide. It lists four examples of natural fibers. The natural fiber would be silk, cotton, wool, hemp, and cashmere. And the synthetics would be the polyester, rayon, nylon, and acrylic. The layers of the hair shaft are the cuticle, the cortex, and the medulla. In number 25, in reference to the diagram below, what is the most correct sequence of impacts? So as you guys could see, the first one, this is the first one, and this is the second one. Okay, mainly because the second one is second because it stopped at a pre-existing fracture. So if you look at this, you see where it stops, and this one continues. So since this one continued, then that one had to occur first before this one. Okay, so that's why this one's first and this one's second. Laminated glass is used to make, basically, that's the windshield of a car in the US. They're made of laminated glass. What part of hair can DNA can be retrieved from? It's from the root. And now we're going to be looking at the soil texture triangle to determine the type of soil. So it will be 30. So it will be 30 sand. So you just follow the line. It will be 50 clay and just follow the line. And then it will be 20% silt. So all this gray area, this falls right in between this gray area right here where it says clay. Okay, so your answer is clay. So it has to all, they all have to cross, okay, and meet. Okay. Now let's go into back in the beginning of the school year, the introduction to forensics. List four examples of individual evidence, and I'm just giving you like some just examples. So it's like DNA, fingerprints, bite marks. In other words, they have to be unique, or they have to fit like a puzzle, or scars. That's important. Something that is unique that will make it individual evidence. Class evidence is like a class. So it's like a type of sneaker or the brand, the tire purchased by a manufacturer, or hair without the root. This one is hair with the root. Okay, so these are just some examples. Okay, so specially trained personnel called crime scene investigator are employed by some crime laboratories on 24-hour call to retrieve evidence and have all the proper tools and supplies of proper collection for proper collection and packaging of evidence at their disposal. So that's for 30. 31. List three types of court cases classified as civil and list three types of classified as criminal law. So civil law will be custody, like child custody, property disputes, or divorce. Criminal is assault, homicide, or rape. And it could be more, of course. Okay, that's just some examples. Number 32, the concept of general acceptance of scientific evidence relates to the Fry standard. Okay, very, very important. That's when they decided to make more scientific evidence more acceptable. Number 33, who postulated the exchange of evidence principle? That would be Edmond look hard, especially trace evidence. We talked about how things travel around in us that we cannot see. Sometimes we need a microscope or 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 zooming through or some magnifying lenses, basically. 34. Physical evidence can be used to exonerate or exclude a person from suspicion if the standard sample doesn't match the crime scene. Again, physical evidence can be used to exonerate or exclude a person from suspicion if the standard sample doesn't match the crime scene investigation. Okay, so in the case of Daubert versus Merrill Doe Pharmaceutical Corporation, the U.S. Supreme Court advocated that the gatekeeper determines the admissibility and reliability of scientific evidence. This gatekeeper is the trial judge. Number 36, calculate the total magnification of the scanning low and high magnification. Basically, the way to calculate is total magnification. You basically have to multiply the eyepiece, which is usually 10 times the objective magnification. So in the scanning one is basically has uh, basically a 10, and it's times 4, it will be 40 times magnification. The low will be the 10 times 10, it will be 100 times, and the high will be 10 times 40, and it will be 400 times magnification. A search warrant is a court order signed by a judge. Okay, 38. What happens to the image of an object when viewed through the eyepiece of a compound light microscope? Well, it is inverted and it's also magnified. Physical evidence is considered to have greater value as that of an eyewitness testimonial evidence. Forensic science is the application of science to criminal and also civil law. Okay. Number 41. Okay. List 6 items requiring a rough sketch of a crime scene. Well, then you need the date, the time, the location, the item description, and location of evidence. Okay. The item, evidence item. Okay. So the location and dimensions of walls, the windows, the doors, and furniture. And you also need a north compass. Number 42. The first officer arriving at a crime scene after providing or obtaining medical assistance for the injured and effecting an arrest of suspect if possible. What should immediately follow? Of course, they have to secure the scene. The first officer always secures the scene. Okay. So identify the type of container each item should correctly be placed in. So if you have a bloody t-shirt, you would have to put it in a paper bag. Charred debris that's recovered from a fire, it has to be in an airtight container. Fibers or hair, they're in an envelope or plastic bag. And and then glass, it has to be a cardboard box. Number 44. Proper sequence of crime scene photography starts with a progression of photographs showing an overview from the entry. What photographs should follow once they have taken? They have to have an overview of the area from different angles or perspectives. To identify when no ticket should be done and list 6 items required in the next. For you need the time, the location, also location of the evidence that was recovered, and the name of the person collecting. The successful outcome of a criminal investigation is directly related to proper collection and preservation of evidence. It always has to follow the chain of custody. 47. What is the purpose of a collection of standard reference samples at a crime scene? It's so you can compare it. It's comparison of crime scene evidence to suspects. This eliminates and can eliminate suspects. Crime scene sketches serve a unique purpose in permanently documenting the location of evidence, and this is collected and removable from the crime scene. So sketches are really important. 49 lists 3 items required for a minimum chain custody record. So I did put more than that. So it's just date, time, location, the description of item, just initials, all persons who come in contact, and possession of evidence. And I accidentally put this one in here, but it should be under hair. So generally, a human hair can be distinguished from an animal hair by examining always the medulla, and that is the center. It usually has a certain pattern. Okay, so good luck test, you guys, and I hope you guys make sure you type this up or write it down in your midterm exam. And I wish you guys good luck. Okay, you guys.